book up wide and meet adventures that wait for you. Live and learn and laugh and play whenever your dream comes true. You could swim along the river all the way to the sea. You could fly up in the sky above the clouds and trees. You could plant a flower garden up on top of the moon. You could swing through the jungle all afternoon. Wherever our story takes us, I can't wait to see. Yes, friends, come and read with me. It's Online Storytime.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Online Storytime at your Grand Rapids Area Library. I'm Miss Tracy.
And I'm Grandma Pat.
And we are both so excited to have you with us today. Hey Grandma Pat, before we start talking about that necessary and delicious thing we're going to talk about.
Pretty.
And very pretty. Would you like to sing?
Yes.
Storytime friends, would you please join us? And remember, the song says clap your hands, but you clap whatever you want. Here we go. If you want to hear a story, clap your hands. If you want to hear a story, clap your hands. If you want to hear a story, if you want to hear a story, if you want to hear a story, clap your hands. And I really want to hear a story today. Hey, Grandma Pat, what do you want to talk about?
Aren't those just the most beautiful things?
They are.
When I was a little girl, Storytime friends, my mom used to do this every fall. We had a huge garden, just huge. And she would can all of these things to eat in the wintertime. We'd have corn. I see there's corn there, and there's tomatoes, and there's
green beans.
There's
right there.
green beans. That was a big one, yeah.
And carrots.
Carrots. And she would can those so that she would say, Patty, go down and get me some carrots from the cellar. And I'd go down and I'd find a jar of carrots and I'd bring it back up and we'd have carrots to eat all winter long.
It looks like this is jelly too.
It could be because it's a jelly too, yeah.
Wow.
A lot of blueberry jellies, but blueberries will be important a little later on today. Mm-hmm.
So why do people can things? What does it mean to can something?
Long time ago, there weren't any refrigerators. So people had to figure out a way to get through the long winter when nothing was growing. They had to figure out a way to have food to eat. So they figured this out. They figured out a way to can vegetables and lots of other things so that when they got hungry in the wintertime, when there was no fresh food around, they had this that they could survive on. So it was necessary. It's not so necessary anymore because we have these big refrigerators that keep everything for us. But then they needed to be able to do that.
And the interesting thing is, if your power went out, you wouldn't have your refrigerator. I know a lot of people who still can their food. And oftentimes it's because we grow so much food and you want to keep it so you can eat it later.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
you don't want to waste anything.
No, canning is a special way of preserving food. Preserving means to save food. And canning requires a lot of heat. It requires a special way to do it in order to make the food safe. You can't just pour it into a jar and put the lid on it.
No, because you can't let any air get in here at all. So this has to be tight, 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 tight. No air can get in there.
But oh, it's delicious come winter.
It is.
Hey, Grandma Pat, do we have any good books about canning?
We have got perfect books today. Miss Tracy, we have a pickle book today.
Oh my gosh, I love pickles.
Oh, you should. This is called Pickle Words, Crunchy, Punchy, Pickles and Poetry by April Polisayer and is illustrated by J. Lee Soon. Shall we see what this is all about? It's brought to us by Charles Bridge Publishing. Look at all of those pretty pictures. Oh my. Peter Piper picked a peck. Can you speak in pickles? Check. sour and crisp and crunchy. Summer produce by the pile. Pickle it. Make it last a while. Got all the things from the garden. Clean, sort, soak, straight, curved, bent. Wait till they ferment. Ferment.
What does it mean to ferment?
Ferment means changing one food into another food, like changing a cucumber into a pickle. Or sometimes, you know, when your milk is in the fridge for a long time, it kind of gets sour. That's a form of fermenting. But it's how foods can change from one thing to another.
So when we can our foods and we preserve our foods, a lot of times we're fermenting our food.
Sometimes we are. Pickle packers, dill, and fill. Pour the brine, seal or chill. If you put hot salt and water and vinegar in with the pickles, that's when they ferment. If you just put them in the refrigerator cold with salt and vinegar, they don't ferment and they don't last as long either, but they're just as good. Clean the cabbage, coat with paste, onions, garlic, sauce to taste. Sometimes there's something called kimchi from Korea that they put a hot pepper paste on cabbage and then they preserve it.
Oh.
Yeah, does it sound good? Cross sections, quarters, whole with stem. Chunks for chutney, relish them.
That's funny.
That's pretty funny.
They use the word relish in two different ways.
There's some relish right there.
But if
Hold up different vegetables together and then ferment them.
And if you relish something, it also means you really like it.
You really, really like it, yeah. Gherkins working, mustard, wow. Piccalilli, chow chow now. Piccalilli and chow chow are forms of relishes.
And they make them with vegetables. Huh?
They do. Look at, see all those different vegetables? Look at that. So pretty. And gherkins are kinds of cucumbers. Craving cabbage, kimchi's out. Check the crock for sauerkraut. Churn cabbage into sauerkraut. And it is sour too, but so good. These people are having a lot of fun. Icy slices, crisp, red, green, pepper rings for in between. See how they packed different vegetables in there? And they make it so pretty and so good to eat. Ooh, we're having some hot dogs here with some relish, some chow chow. Family recipes, dice, spice, chili. Pull a pickle face, sour or silly.
Some pickles are really sour.
Oh, look at these words. Puckery, that's a good word. Rubbery, wrinkled. Lemon and lime, squeaky, leaky. They're all sublime. Sublime means excellent. You really, really like them. Got all of those pretty. There's some watermelons being pickled. Look at that. Mushrooms being pickled. I guess you can pickle everything. Snag a spear, no time to waste. Pickles and words, they're worth a taste. We even have pickle poetry up here. Pickles, pickles, near and far, pickles in a pickle jar. And somebody wrote the word pickle, and they made a word for each letter. Perhaps inside cucumbers, kindness lives evermore. Do you think of the cucumbers being kind? And we have a world of pickles. Look at all of these things that are being pickled. We have mangoes, we have gherkins, we have pickled vegetables and eggs, and turnips and lemons. Have you ever thought about pickling lemons? And hot peppers, onions, and a certain kind of radish from Japan. So here we have the world of pickles.
Hey, Storytime friends, Grandma Pat,
Yeah.
do you want to do a really fun flannel board?
Oh, it looks so good.
There is a lot going on here. Storytime friends, you may already know this, but it's kind of fun to think about how our food grows in different places. Some of our food in our garden grows under the ground, like carrots and potatoes and beets. They grow under the ground. Some food in our garden grows on top of the ground, like lettuce and kale and spinach. They grow up out of the ground. Some of the food we like to eat grows on bushes, like blueberries grow on bushes. And some of the foods that we eat grow way up high on trees, like apples and pears. Some nuts grow on trees, other nuts grow underground. Our food grows all different places. And we're gonna sing a song about that today called Food from the Garden. All right? And here's how it goes. If you like to eat the roots, munch a carrot, nom, nom, nom. If you like to eat the roots, munch a carrot, crunch, crunch. Potatoes and beets, they really can't be beat. If you like to eat the roots, munch a carrot, nom, nom, nom. I used to love to dig potatoes up from the garden. It was like a treasure hunt. And you dig, 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 and then you pull up this whole root bed, and then you pluck the potatoes. It was a lot of fun until you found a rotten one, but we won't even talk about that. All right, now some of our food grows on top. So if you like to eat the leaves, munch some lettuce, crunch, crunch. If you like to eat the leaves, munch some lettuce, munch, munch. Spinach and kale, they're delicious without fail. If you like to eat the leaves, munch some lettuce. Delicious. Now, how about the fruits? If you like to eat the fruits, munch an apple, munch, munch. If you like to eat the fruits, munch an apple, yum, yum. If you, berries, let's pick some berries. And pears. Oh my goodness, so many pears. They grow best in clean, fresh air. If you like to eat the fruits, munch an apple, yum, yum. And all of the foods that we talked about and all of the foods that we ate, they can be canned and they can be preserved. They just have to be picked first. And you notice, we left 3 blueberries there. Maybe our friend little Sal would like to eat those.
Blink, plank, plunk.
Thanks for playing. Grandma Pat, thank you for giving me the honor of reading my very favorite book.
Well, I haven't heard you read for a long time, so it's time.
All right, this is called Blueberries for Sal. And this girl right here, her name is Sal, and she's sitting amongst the blueberry plants. This book was written and illustrated by Robert McCloskey. Now, if you open up the cover, we're going to talk about this picture when I get done with the story. This picture is one of my favorite pictures of all children's book illustrations. Blueberries for Sal. This was published by Viking Press. One day, little Sal went with her mother to Blueberry Hill to pick blueberries. Little Sal brought along her small tin pail, and her mother brought her large tin pail to put berries in. "We will take our berries home and can them," said her mother. "Then we will have food for the winter." That's the way they're preserving these fruits. Little Sal picked 3 berries and dropped them in her little tin pail. Kaplink, kaplank, kaplunk. Can't you just hear that sound? Kaplink, kaplink, kaplunk. She picked 3 more berries and ate them. Then she picked more berries and dropped 1 in the pail, kaplunk, and the rest she ate. Then little Sal ate all 4 blueberries out of her pail. It's going to take her a while to fill up that pail. Her mother walked slowly through the bushes, picking blueberries as she went and putting them in her pail. Little Sal struggled along behind, picking blueberries and eating every single one. Little Sal hurried ahead and dropped a blueberry in her mother's pail. It didn't sound kaplink because the bottom of Mother's pail was already covered with berries. She reached down inside to get her berry back. Though she really didn't mean to, she pulled out a large handful because there were so many blueberries right up close to the one she had put in. Her mother stopped picking and said, "Now, Sal, you run along and pick your own berries. Mother wants to take her berries home and can them for next winter." Her mother went back to her picking, but little Sal, because her feet were tired of standing and walking, sat down in the middle of a large clump of bushes and ate blueberries. Oh, that looks delicious. On the other side of Blueberry Hill, Little Bear came with his mother to eat blueberries. "Little Bear," she said, "eat lots of berries and grow big and fat. We must store up food for the long, cold winter." Little Bear followed behind his mother as she walked slowly through the bushes eating berries. Little Bear stopped now and then to eat berries. Then he had to hustle along to catch up. Because his feet were tired of hustling, he picked out a large clump of bushes and sat down right in the middle and ate blueberries. Look at all the berries going into his mouth. Over on the other side of the hill, little Sal ate all of the berries she could reach from where she was sitting. Then she started out to find her mother. She heard a noise from behind a rock and thought, "That is my mother walking along." You think her mother's right around behind the rock? But it was a mother crow and her children, and they stopped eating berries and flew away saying, "Caw, caw, caw." Then she heard another noise in the bushes and thought, "That is surely my mother, and I will go that way." But it was Little Bear's mother instead. She was tramping along, eating berries and thinking about storing up food for the winter. Little Sal tramped right along behind. By this time, Little Bear had eaten all the berries he could reach without moving from his clump of bushes. Then he hustled off to catch up with his mother. He hunted and hunted, but his mother was nowhere to be seen. He heard a noise from over a stump and thought, "That is my mother walking along." But it was Mother Partridge and her children. They stopped eating berries and hurried away. Then he heard a noise in the bushes and thought, "That is surely my mother. I will hustle that way." But it was Little Sal's mother instead. She was walking along, picking berries and thinking about canning them for next winter. Little Bear hustled right along behind. Little Bear and Little Sal's mother and Little Sal and Little Bear's mother were all mixed up with each other among the blueberries on Blueberry Hill. Little Bear's mother heard Sal walking along behind and thought it was Little Bear, and she said, "Little Bear, munch, munch, eat all you can possibly hold." Little Sal said nothing. She picked 3 berries and dropped them, kaplink, kaplink, kaplunk, in her small tin pail. Little Bear's mother turned around to see what on earth could make a noise like kaplunk. She cried, choking on a mouthful of berries. "This is not my child. Where is Little Bear?" She took one good look and backed away. She was old enough to be shy of people, even a very small person like Little Sal. Then she turned around and walked off very fast to hunt for Little Bear. Little Sal's mother heard Little Bear tramping along behind and thought it was Little Sal. She kept right on picking and thinking about canning blueberries for next winter. Little Bear padded up and peeked into her pail. Of course, he only wanted to taste a few of what was inside. But there were so many, and they were so close together that he tasted a tremendous mouthful by mistake. "Now, Sal," said Little Sal's mother without turning around, "you run along and pick your own berries. Mother wants to can these for next winter." Little Bear tasted another tremendous mouthful and almost spilled the entire pail of blueberries. Little Sal's mother turned around and gasped, "My goodness, you are not Little Sal. Where, oh, where is my child?" Little Bear just sat munching and swallowing and licking his lips. Little Sal's mother slowly backed away. She was old enough to be shy of bears, even very small bears like Little Bear. Then she turned and walked away quickly to look for Little Sal. She hadn't gone very far behind before she heard a kaplink, kaplink, kaplunk. She knew just what made that kind of a noise. Little Bear's mother had not hunted very long before she heard a hustling sound that stopped now and then to munch and swallow. She knew just what made that kind of a noise. Little Bear and his mother went home down one side of Blueberry Hill, eating blueberries all the way and full of food stored up for next winter. And little Sal and her mother went down the other side of Blueberry Hill, picking berries all the way, and drove home with food to can for next winter. A whole pail of blueberries, and 3 more besides. And
What a crazy mix-up that.
it was very mixed up on Blueberry Hill. And this, my friends, is probably my very favorite illustration of any children's book ever. This is Sal and her mother after they got home, and what are they doing? They're canning the blueberries. And I always thought, you can see there's some water boiling here, and I think the blueberries are cooking in that pot. And Mother is pouring the hot blueberries into the canning jar here. You see what Sal has? These are rings that help seal the jars up. And these are some jars of blueberries, all ready for wintertime. And I love the fact that the window's open and there's flowers blooming, and it's a really nice day. But they are definitely getting ready for winter.
What a wonderful kitchen.
I know, that is such a nice kitchen. And thank you, friends, for letting me read Blueberries for Sal. Hey, Storytime friends. Grandma Pat,
Oh.
anyone want to shake your shaker?
Yes, I do.
So, Storytime friends, out of your Storytime kit, I'd like you to find your shaker. If you don't have a shaker, that's fine. You can make one. You can even stop this video and make it right now if you want to. This is just an envelope with some beans on it.
My favorite.
I have some bottle caps in just a little plastic container, and I have my shaker in it. And you can make a shaker out of whatever you want to make a shaker out of. Oh, what? Excuse me? Pardon? One second, just 1 second. Yes? Oh, of course. Storytime friends. Elephant would like to join us today. Hello, Grandma Pat.
Hello, elephant.
Hello, Storytime friends. Elephant, we haven't seen you in a while. I'm delighted that you can join us. Set you right there. Now, Storytime friends, we're going to sing 2 shaker songs, but before we do that, I want to do a hand motion song called Pumpkin Pumpkin. Because this time of the year, our pumpkins are getting ripe. They're turning orange and they're ripe, and they are getting ready so that we can display them around our houses. All right, so this is called Pumpkin Pumpkin, and I want you to follow my body motions. Okay, here we go. Pumpkin, pumpkin on the ground, how'd you get so big and round? Once you were a seed so small, now you are a great big ball. Pumpkin, pumpkin on the ground, how'd you get so big and round? It is amazing because a pumpkin seed starts out about this small and they grow a pumpkin that big. Do you want to do that one more time? All right, here we go. Pumpkin, pumpkin on the ground, how'd you get so big and round? Once you were a seed so small, now you are a great big ball. Pumpkin, pumpkin on the ground, how'd you get so big and round? That was awesome. All right, now grab your shakers, and we are going to start out with a song called Applesauce. Are you ready? Here we go. Wash an apple, cut it up, and cook it in a pot. When you taste it, you will find it's applesauce you've got. Whoa! Applesauce, it's applesauce. Applesauce you've got. Applesauce, it's applesauce, it's applesauce you've got. Add some sugar and some spice and watch the apple simmer. When you take it, you will see there's applesauce for dinner. Applesauce, it's applesauce, applesauce you've got. Applesauce, it's applesauce, it's applesauce you've got. Have you ever made your own applesauce? That's a really easy, fun thing to do. Maybe you can ask your grown-up to help you and you can make some applesauce. It's really, really great. All right, now we are going to move from applesauce and we're gonna can some berries. And this next song we're going to do is called Putting Up the Berries. You ready? Here we go. It's time to pick the berries. It's time to pick the berries. The time is right, the berries are ripe. Let's go pick the berries. Okay, we have all of our picking stuff and we're ready to go. Now, we have our berries. What do we have to do with them? We better clean them before we can them. Here we go. It's time to clean the berries. It's time to clean the berries. The time is right, the berries are ripe. Let's all clean the berries. Now, I think it's time to cook them before we can can them. Here we go. It's time to cook the berries. It's time to cook the berries. The time is right, the berries are ripe. Let's all cook the berries. And now finally we can pour them into jars to can them for the winter. It's time to can the berries. It's time to can the berries. The time is right, the berries are ripe. Let's can all the berries. And now, when the winter wind blows and we are cold down to our toes, the time will be right. The berries were ripe, then we will eat those berries. Oh, and they will be delicious.
So good.
Hey, thanks for playing. Oh, story time, friends. Grandma Pat, what a good time I had today.
Me too.
Anytime I get to read Blueberries for Sal is like the best day ever. I probably should just keep a copy in my office and just read it once a day.
Sure.
Because it makes me happy. And Grandma Pat, you introduced us to so many things that we can pickle.
And that was such a pretty book to read.
Yeah, and great poetry too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I learned all about relishes and chow and all sorts of good things.
Piccalilli, isn't that fun to say?
Piccalilli.
Piccalilli.
And then we talked about how some of our food grows under the ground, some of our food grows on top of the ground, some of our food grows on bushes, and some of our food grows on trees. Isn't that incredible? And you know what, Storytime friends? There are some gardens where they grow food completely just using water and air. They don't use ground at all. I know, that's crazy, isn't it? But I like pulling my food out of the ground. That's one of my favorite things to do. But now I think it's time for us to say goodbye.
Oh, okay.
I know, it's a little disappointing,
It
but
is.
they probably have to eat lunch or they have to go
They have things to do.
pickle something. I don't know. All right, would you sing with us, Storytime friends? Here we go. Oh, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Yes, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Story time is done today. Now it's time to go and play. Oh, it's time to say goodbye to all our friends. Goodbye, everybody.
I'm gonna get some piccalilli.